Morning, it's Martin's Engine Services. Well, it's Friday. Don't suppose that makes any difference to anybody, but there you go. I'm not sure when this video will be going out, maybe today or tomorrow, so please ignore that bit. Anyhow, we have in front of us the new radiator for the Kia Carens. It arrived yesterday, as scheduled. Very nice looking component, it was nicely wrapped, and it even came with a new genuine looking rad cap, and I've got my suspicions this may be an original radiator. However, it's a nice looking component, so it's now a case of simply refit, and I guess this could be interesting. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of bolts, there's a lot of clips, but be fine, as you shouldn't get too many bits left over. M6 bolts are always handy for the nut and bolt box, so we won't go there. Anyhow, let's get things set up and then we can start the reverse procedure. One thing I will have to do before anything else is just find a way of just wedging this locking rail up slightly, just to give me that little extra clearance on the cooling fan. So I'll go and get a couple of little wedges made up, get that jammed into place, and then we will proceed. So I'll halt things for a moment and bring you back when we're ready to go. Right, well I managed to get a wedge in this side, which has actually brought it up quite well, so we're going to try it on that for now. Right, let's go and unwrap the new radiator. Right then, here we go. Now the two rubber feet are in the bottom, so you just slide it carefully down into position here. Right, stand by folks, just move you around a little bit. It's better. Right, well that seems to have sat in its little feet quite happily. So now let's see if we can get the fan on, which is going to be the important one. Once the fan's on, the rest of it's fairly straightforward. So, which side should we start with? This side, why not? We've got to tip the rad in. We need a light on the subject. It's still a struggle, but at least I can now see myself struggling. Right, now if we can get that to come up there. It's frustratingly close. I think this side will go on quite easily, so yeah. Excuse my head in the view. I know it's not very pretty, but yeah, that side's gone on all right. I think we're just going to have to get this locking rail to come up just a fraction more, literally to there. Standing on the wire. Right, that's better. Yes. Aha. No, we're a miss. Oh, it's halfway over. Nearly. Right, hold on folks, let's put it on pause for a moment. I'm just going to get another wedge under the end of there. Right, success. shoved another wedge in there, and it went straight in. So it's literally like that much. There's a little lip on the back of the locking rail here, which prevents the fan tipping forward with the rad to lift it that way. And when you come up with the fan, it just hits the locking rail. So we got there. Right, so I guess the best thing to do is to put the rad in on its rubber mountings now, and then I can bolt the fan in from the back. Guess we'll take the wedges out now. Now the wedge is stuck in there. There we go. Right. This is the official Kia Hyundai special tool. It's about as good as my woodwork gets, so please don't judge. No, woodwork's a bit better than that, seriously. And built 2/3 of this building we're standing in, and it survived all the best of the Norfolk weather can throw at it. So I guess it's I guess it must be up to code. Right then, I think we get a couple of bolts in the locking. That's the one out the headlight. Mustn't forget that one. Then we get a couple of bolts in the locking rail, and then proceed from there. Right, this is the ones for the locking rail. Four short, one long, let's remember that one. And that was the headlight bolt, which I've just lost. Right, I'll put that one in a minute. What's happening in here? Ah. No, hang on, Martin, that's the one for the crash sensor. Hold up. Hold up. Too much enthusiasm going on in here, folks. Right, that's the one that goes there. Anyhow, I won't bore you with all the details of bolting all this up. I'll get some of that back in and then bring you along a few stages on the way. Well, we're proceeding along quite nicely. We've got all the bolts in the locking rail. I'm just putting that one in the bottom of the headlight before I forget it. The one that did absolutely nothing to help us the other day. The mission to get to. I was just thinking, actually, doing an accident repair or crash repair on one of these would be quite horrendous, because you've got to get all these little bolts to line up in this locking rail here, each end, and there's hardly any tolerance in these holes whatsoever. And getting the headlight to line up with no tolerance and getting all the gaps right, I should think would be a somewhat fiddly operation. And obviously the bonnet sits tight to the top of the headlight here. It's just out of shot, isn't it? Yeah. But so just move it down a little bit. So the bonnet sits across the top of the headlight here. It accurately lines up with the grille and across and everything. So getting everything right, and then all that affects everything. So that could be a fun job. Right, that's that one in. Let's find the 2 bolts for that. What did I do with those? There's one of them. Ah, it's all right, I know what I've done. I put the wrong bolt in the crash sensor, that's it. I thought this bolt looked a bit long. That's it. That's it. That's that one, folks. That's better. Right. The one for the crash sensor is a shorter one. That's better. Right. Problem solved. That's it. That explains it all. I thought that was a bit too long. Thought 25mm bolt was a bit long just to go through a bit of 5mm plastic. Right, that's it. We're all right now. There we go. Look at that. Put this little screw back, which makes absolutely no difference. No idea what that's there for. I think they put that in there to lull you into a sense of security that you can... all right, it's in. Slurps the tea. Okay, so we've got to obviously get the fan bolted to the rad. I think we get the rad brackets on next. We have them somewhere. That's it. Right. Okay, that goes in there. That. There we go. Some sort of contortionist to get the bolts in. Be there in a minute, folks. There we go. I think they need to design a new form of human for working on cars with treble jointed elbows and reversible hands and all the rest of it. It's getting to that stage where you cannot physically get to anything. Well, yesterday afternoon I finished tuning up the old Morris Minor for dear old Richard. We threw it back together a month or so ago in his garage after the electronic ignition distributor died and that wiring problem. It's been running okay, but just needed a bit of fettling. We of course made the mistake of fitting a new condenser and points yesterday, put it all back together of course, and then it was playing up, would start, then it would stop, kept losing spark, so the brand new condenser, as always, gave up. So we put another good one in that I had from stock, solved that problem, checked a few things over, tuned it up, which is running lovely now. So again, another failure. It didn't really need changing, but we happened to have one. We went down that stupid path of, oh, we've got one, we might as well change it. And I've used this maker points and condenser many times in the past, and I use them on my stationary engines, and they've been fine. And of course, the one we put in his car didn't work. Great. So that was another one of those mysteries. It turned into a bit of a head scratcher actually, so it's one of those You're thinking, how am I getting beaten up by Morris Minor engine? Answer, very easily. They're very simple old things and pretty easy to fix, but now and again they will chuck little mysteries at you and little curveballs that will really throw you. Another problem we found on his was he's having intermittent loss of power prior to all this, and it would always come back again. Did it a couple of times, and we found that the wire on the end of the SU fuel pump was actually loose, so he'd had a poor connection on the pump, so he wasn't always getting full fuel pressure. Simple little thing. Just by chance, I had the carburettor off, and I thought I'll disconnect the fuel pump because I want to have the ignition on to check the points and that. So I went to undo the wire off the end of the pump, and the nut was loose. I thought, aha, there you go. Just those little things that can just throw you. We did have quite a laugh about it in the end, you know, parts everywhere, bits of wire, coils, distributors, spark plugs everywhere. I got a couple of good zaps off on the plug lead at one point, so it's a pretty typical day in the motor trade, or typical afternoon. It's actually a little bit of a sad day actually yesterday. Unfortunately, I had a medical appointment yesterday morning, which I've been waiting for a few weeks, and it happened to correspond with the funeral of a good old friend of mine. So I was unable to attend, which was rather sad. His name was Eddie Dixon. He was in Bushy Car Breakers, and some of you may have heard of it. Look it up, it was legendary, which was next door to my grandparents' place, and I'd known Eddie since I was a toddler sort of thing. And as I got involved in this crazy business, and Ed was a font of old knowledge. I'm still in touch with a few old pals of his, and my friend with the MGB who comes up, who's the good old pal of Ed's, that's how I met him and whatnot. So it's a very, very sad thing. He'd been ill for the last 15 years, unfortunately, with Parkinson's, and he lived on a lot longer than anybody hoped, or not hoped, anybody wanted him to, bless him. So he was a great guy, and he always had little fonts of knowledge, and he was a very well educated guy. And if you asked him for a simple wiring diagram, he'd draw you a fantastic one with all the theory of the electrics and the electrons and all that stuff. And you'd go, hang on, Ed, I just want a picture of a switch and a battery. But a great character, very knowledgeable, and will be very much missed. It's a real shame I couldn't get there because, but unfortunately I couldn't cancel that medical appointment. It just happened to be those things happen, but a friend of mine represented me, so that's absolutely fine. So one of those things, unfortunately. So it was a bit of a sad day yesterday in some respects, but sometimes these things happen. Anyhow, now we've got the rad bolted in. I'll put the bolts in the fan, and then I'll bring you back when I've got a few other bits done. Right, okay, we're doing good. Fans bolted in, AC rad snuck in place, bottom hose has gone on, just going to fight the top hose on. Got to find the bolt for the hose there, that one. I've got to think that this is a genuine radiator, or made by the company who makes the genuine ones, because the fit on this has been fantastic. Everything is just slotted into place so nicely. Particularly the fan went in on its two little lugs at the bottom, just went click, and the bolts went straight in place. The AC rad sits on 4 lugs on the front, and they just went straight in nicely, and the fit is absolutely perfect. It's too good to be a copy one. You can always tell that quality because no one ever quite makes them exactly that fit as good. Look at that. When this goes to the Kia Owners Club show on Sunday, it'll look nice, won't it? There's that lovely warning sticker again over there with the fingers getting chopped off by the fan. Look at that. I hate dirty engine bays. And dirty locking rails and dirty inner wings. I hate that. And you open the bonnet. Ugh. I like to have them all nice and clean. Yeah, I'm pretty much certain it is because it's even got the original Caren writing on and everything's just too nice. In fact, I think it's got the same sticker on as the original. I'm just going to have a look at that. No, the stickers fell off the other one. But no. Well, if it isn't a genuine one, it certainly should be, because the quality is... Right, now remember this clip was a bit of a fight the other day, because the ears on it were kind of round the wrong way. So let's see if we can work out some sort of access to that. Not going to be fun, that one. I've even lost the tool now. There he is. Might have to do the halfway with the tool and halfway with the grips on this one. Aha. In fact, Martin's got it. What lunatic put it round that way when he took it off? I don't know. You just can't find the train monkeys anymore. Oh, no, hang on folks, we might be in luck here. If any of you have ever been wrapped over the back of the finger or by the back of the hand by one of these spring type clips, you'll know something about pain. They're frightening things. This one really doesn't want to get in there. Try and... Aha! Hold on. Success! I went... Yeah, when they ping off and you've got those two ears sticking up and they fly apart, wow. Especially if it hits you on the back of the finger, then you will know about it. Right, that's on. I like to try and get these lined up in the original place because they leave a little mark in the hose and I think they sit better, but no, they're sitting on there nicely. Always make sure they're past the raised section on the hose and not sitting on it. Yep, that's good. So top hose is on. That bolt's done up there. I've got to put a cable tie down there. Everything's connected down there. And yes, I did check the drain tap on the rag because sometimes the new rads are not always done up. You only make the mistake once as you pour the coolant in and it all falls on the floor. And your first reaction is, oh, I've got a leak in the new radiator. No, you simply haven't done the tap up. Hang on, technical problems with the cable tie. Fail. Right, on to the finishing touches now. Now this panel here is a bit funny to get in because there's a bonnet hook here which you can't get to the bolts to once this is in. Oh, excuse me. But it has to clip in the grill, so you think it goes in like that, but it won't because of this catching. So what you have to seem to do, get it to go back as far as you can, and then very carefully work these tags under the bumper. Just sort of have to manoeuvre the bumper forward and kind of very carefully, this is how I got it out, carefully work these tags under the nose of the bumper like that. And like that. A bit crude, but seems to be how they do it. Oh, we've got one out of place here. Hang on folks, technical error. There we go. There's nothing like prizing on fragile plastic. At least the weather's warm, so we stand a chance of it not exploding everywhere. Now, we got some screws that go in here. Like that. And oh, they're the bolts, yes, of course they are, right. Okay, we've got two bolts that go through here that also hold the bumper down to the locking rail. Which you should oil thoroughly because they're them nice rusty ended ones. In there. And in there, there we go. Wiggle everything into place. Snug them up, and then the rest are just clips. There we go, simple as that, as they say. Now, surprisingly, none of these fragile little clips broke on the way off, but would they all make it back? I don't know. It does help when the weather's a bit warmer, because you get a nice cold day and you try undoing any of this sort of stuff that's got a few years old. Whoa, no chance. Alright, put that one somewhere else. Okay, they just didn't want to go in that respective holes. Look at that, all the parts are gone. I love these trays. These are things that cook meats and that come in. I've got dozens of them. They're robust, they're solvent proof. Now, everything I take apart I put in there in a section, so everything from there's in one and there's somewhere else. And for all the smaller parts I just get an aerosol lid, and if it's engine parts I just label them, you know, whatever they are, and then I know what order they're in. So then you can make sure all the parts are together, all the clips you want are there ready, and it just makes little sort of assembly kits. It's just the way I've always done it. I mean, obviously if it's something you know well and you chuck it in a pile, it doesn't matter, but when you've had it apart for a while or it's something that's a bit new, sometimes it's best just to label everything. Masking tape things together and whatnot. So all I've got to do now is put the coolant in, run it up. I'll leave the under trail for a moment because I'm actually going to run it up and give it a flush out. And the customer's coming to collect this tomorrow, and he's actually got 5 litres of the proper coolant for it. So we're going to give it a flush and a complete coolant change. So I'll get it flushed out today, then put the under trail on, and when he arrives tomorrow I'll just fill it up and bleed it. So that's it. So I know it probably wasn't the most exciting video. I've managed to make 1 hour video out of changing a Kia Caren's radiator, but I hope it might give someone some help on what's needed and whatnot, and say nothing too serious, the usual scratches and bits. So it's not bad, it's just the annoyance of not being able to get the locking rail out and just having to twist things around a bit, but it is doable. Got no bolts left over, not missing any parts, so we'll count that as a win. All we got left is the bolts for the under tray. They're a bit rusty. I might find some new ones of those, and that's it. So, hope you enjoyed this little video. Not little video, it's half an hour epic. Watching a man fitting a radiator. Still, I should be back on the old ride-on mower this afternoon, the old Contax or Countax project mower. My first job on that today is fix the other puncher in the back tyre, because it's now, I've got it sitting in the other workshop on some blocks and stands, and it's now sagged into a heap now, so I'll deal with that. So I'll leave that where it is. So please like and subscribe. Thank you very much indeed for adding to my subscribers list. And every watch count is good, gets the numbers up, and I'm pleased about it. So thank you very much indeed, and bye for now.